All right, our objective here today is to review the assembly instructions for the Lilypad ripper. If you notice before you, this is what you'll have when you unpack your box. You will have four 5/16 inch bolts, four nuts, two 3/8 inch carriage bolts, nuts, and washers. We'll start from there with the assembly process. In the first step, you're going to want to, we'll assemble the end to the harrow steel bar. We'll take the tip first, put our bolt into the hole, and then through the hole on the steel bar, our washer and our nut. Once that's hung on, we can then take our second bolt and put that through the second hole, the washer and nut. And to tighten those, you will need a 5/8 inch wrench, or if you have a crescent wrench, you can use that as well. And so once these bolts have been tightened, then we can set that aside, and we're actually done at this point with our 5/8 inch wrench. The next step is we're going to be setting a few components together. You'll notice if you look at the angle, the U-shaped steel, you will see two holes, and they are offset closer to one end than to the other. So therefore, what you want to do is you want to set that onto the steel plate with, think of this as going forward or towards where I'm going to pull the Lilypad ripper. Then at that point, we're going to lay the steel arm into here, and you will find that the two holes will line up to go through all three items: the arm, the U-shaped steel, and the plate. What I'm going to do is recommend that we place the bolt going down through the plate so that the nut and the extension of the bolt is inside. So we'll set this onto here after we've looked at this assembly and put the bolt in. And then at this point, what I can do is just tip it up like that and put the nut on the underside. Now the second bolt will basically go in the same way as the first. And once that is through, we have a 5/16 inch washer that will go on that front. Now we have our two bolts that are going through and holding our assembly together, with the nut towards the bolt towards the front of the unit, or the metal that's sticking out, having the washer on it to support the fact that you have a larger hole in the steel bar. So at this point, we've assembled the components of the Lilypad ripper. You'll notice that we still have two 5/16 inch bolts and nuts, and here is where you need to determine what works best for you. We recommend getting a 6 foot long or thereabouts, 1.5 inch diameter steel pipe, and basically you'll see that that will drop right into the channel of the Lilypad ripper. So at this point, you'll notice that I could use a pen or pencil and basically mark where my holes are going to be in the steel pole, and then I can take this out, and whether I have a hand drill, a cordless, or a drill press, I can basically then punch 5/16 holes through that steel pipe, which as soon as I have those, then that will allow me to set my pipe in and to place my bolts through the channel and the pipe, and allow me to put my nuts on, and basically now have anchored this pipe into the channel. The other end of this pipe, you can determine whether you want to use a piece of chain or a rope to hook into, or otherwise to pull this. And again, whether you want a single bolt or a pair of bolts, whatever works best for you and you have readily available. But we would take and generally recommend a bolt with a small piece of chain that then will allow you to hook on your rope harness with what you're going to use to pull this device through the water. What that does for me is it allows me then the ability to manage and handle the use of this Lilypad ripper. So if we can envision this being our water, now I have the ripper that is sitting with this with a pipe on it, and I'm now going to hook that up to a harness, whether that be using a piece of chain in the end or just literally a bolt to tie rope in. And at this point now I'm able to pull this, whether it be behind my boat, whether it be from shore with my ATV. You determine the best way. Just remember that this will take a fair amount of force to pull this through the root system of the lily pads. As this gets pulled forward, this point is going to cut down into the root system of the lily pads, and this will take and work its way down in. So as I'm pulling and have completed my pass of tearing up the roots, now I'm actually going to want to pull this thing backwards and up so that I get the point out of the roots, and then I can move over to my next place that I want to pull this through and repeat the process, which will again allow this point to dig down into the root system and tear through the root system of the lily pads. That should give you some basic understanding of this process. Again, you'll need to provide your pipe for stabilizing, but we've gone through the assembly and the basics of the use of the Lilypad ripper.